This is a herd of 150 or so milking ewes who are being moved from a home-based grazing area down to a separate property in order to give the area around the home farm a rest before the area kind of starts drying up for the summertime. It's in the winter that there's green grass and kind of like the highest quality milk for cheese making. And then in the summer is when they're actually feeding hay that they're cutting locally. It's a pretty diverse hay. And there's this leguminous plant that a lot of them eat, and you can see it in the hay as well. And it's like a wild alfalfa looking plant. So there are multiple generations of animals in the flock. And so the older animals have been on this transhumance before because they do it twice a year. And so they kind of show the younger animals where they should be going. And they also pass through olive groves, which you can see in the background there. And so they're like allowed to graze through other people's olive trees when it's not fruiting. And as long as you pass them through quickly, they don't do damage. And they, fertilize and keep the grass down. We only had to push them really like in little bottleneck spots like this where they have to go up a hill and they don't really want to. It's like thick, sharp, thistly brush. But for the most part, they just followed the lead herder and his goat. The goat is the leader of the herd and will just follow it and can be called by the lead herder. So they were super easy animals to work with. They had a cohesive social structure, and they're used to going out without fences and doing grazing circuits on a daily basis. So they're used to being out on the land, and they know it well. And this is kind of like some common grazing land that they're going through. And so this whole area is like a mosaic of different crops with these just kind of open rangelands. Once we got out onto some roads, they would move a lot faster, so you have to stay in front and slow them down. There's just a tendency for them to keep going. So we keep them together tightly with one person in front with a dog and two people walking in back. At times they would try to split off to a little side trail and they'd have to be kind of coaxed back, and you can see the goat waiting for them and then leading them forward. They have this particular way of walking in unison with their heads down like that reminds me of the behavior of other sheep that I've seen, like the Lacha sheep in the Basque and Langhe sheep in northern Italy. And it's just kind of like this gregarious behavior that some sheep breeds have. I'm not sure why. From time to time, we would let them stop and eat. And so they kind of have this like grazing front, and they're all eating side by side and kind of like competing with the ones next to them to get the stuff that's in front. So they never really stop moving. They would just kind of go in a circle over a large area.